Hey, welcome to the first episode of Coffee and Beats, where we talk everything tech and sip on our wonderful coffee. Yes, 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 I am a avid coffee lover. I love coffee, and there's nothing better than a nice hot brewed cup of coffee and some beats, making beats, talking technology, making records, mixing records. You need you a nice cup of mojo to help you get through the day. Okay, so enough of my rant on the coffee. Analog summing. So I get asked all the time, hey Deb, what is analog summing? And is that something that I need? Do I need to invest in it? My answer is always this, always kind of give the start from the beginning. So I think one of the reasons why we like a lot of older music, and when I say older, I'm talking maybe pre 2000 or in that era, all music was basically made with analog gear. It was a mixing board of some sort. Most artists had to actually go into the studio to record because having that gear in your home was super, super expensive. But those that were able to financially support that, they had mixing boards, they had consoles, and back in the day, those consoles were super expensive. Consoles, you need amps, you needed monitors, you needed compressors, EQs, microphones, synthesizer, keyboards, whatever it is that you were recording, you needed to invest in all those items, to make the records. So a lot of that stuff, even when Pro Tools, before it was Pro Tools, DigiDesign, Session 8, it was a lot of many iterations before Pro Tools became Pro Tools to what it is today. But I'm just gonna, for the sake of anything, I'm just gonna call it a digital audio workstation. So a lot of times, or before, people were recording directly to tape. So after the tape and the digital audio workstation came into play, it was already hitting all of the analog gear, all of those circuitries and transistors. It was hitting all that stuff before it was printed into the digital audio workstation, whatever your flavor or choice is. So it already sounded good at the source. They had a high-end microphone, they had a high-end compressor, EQs, LA2As, Pultecs. There were tons of analog gear that was available and still is available to this day to get you kind of close to that sound and the tone that you're looking for. So fast forward to today. We know that the workflow, everything is completely different. Everybody's doing everything in their laptops. They're making beats in their laptops. Everything's done in the box. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I am a strong advocate of working in the box because it gives everyone the opportunity to do your music, which that was not available back in the day. You actually had to have money to make records back in the day. And the game has totally changed. So everybody who wants to do it, who's talented and have the ability to do it, can actually do it. And that's the difference. That's the game changer. But unfortunately, because of that, we have a slew of mediocre sonics. And you might even have heard some producers kind of kind of talking against a lot of the technology and the things that are happening. But I'm not going to get into that. We can talk about that another day. But basically, the sonics and the sounds are different because we're operating everything into a digital domain, and we're trying to capture all of that analog mojo through a digital means. And some approaches are great, and you get great results from doing it, and some of them are not so great. So the question becomes, if you want to try to capture maybe some of that sound and that great tone, should you invest into some type of analog mojo? And for me personally, I have a combination of both. I think it's great to have some outboard gear and inboard gear. So working in the box is the quickest way currently to get work done. If you're working, are you producing, are you mixing, and you have clients, being able to work quickly is the name of the game, because if you don't, the next guy will do it and have it turned around in a day or so, or less. So it's like you have to be able to work fast, and you have to have tools at your fingertips to help you achieve those things, those goals, by working fast and be able to get the job done in a professional manner. Back in the day when we had to do recalls, you had to actually recall everything. So they had to take pictures and write down the settings on those particular pieces, you know. So if a kick or a snare was at a certain thing, they had to jot down all of those settings in case it was recalled, and they had to pull the mix back up. Well, today you don't have to do that. Everything's in a plugin. So one positive thing is that your recall is super easy. It's easy recall. But you can integrate analog pieces into your digital setup to help you achieve those things that you need and your desire for your mixes. So I've incorporated some 500 series modules into my setup. So I have basically like a hybrid setup. So I print all of my stems through some analog gear, and then I reprint them back into my my digital audio workstation. And the analog summing box, lots of them have like 16 inputs, so you can actually export or send out 16 stems to the analog box, something like the Rupert Neve 5057, or Dangerous has one. There's many companies that has summing mixers out. I'm just naming a couple. But that Neve box, that 5057, is dope. That thing is fire. You know, you just route your outputs from your gear, from your interface, directly into the box, and then you print, you know, a 2-track mix back into, you run an output from the actual device back into your DAW. And then on your 2-track from that mix that you're printing, then you can put some tape saturation, some other little modules, whatever it is that you want to make it sound better. Now, I'm not talking to those that are that really honestly don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm speaking specifically to the producer and the mixing engineer who's already working with clients, and you might be on the fence of whether or not you should invest into some type of analog gear. Hey, thanks for listening. This concludes part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Remember, stay up.